we plan for college, we plan for buying our first house. We study and research cars, for a year before we buy the car. But this area of aging, an area of death is still kind of I don't know, maybe some cultures and some families are talking about it more than others, but certainly I see that most families are not as open as I would hope we could get to.
Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show.
And welcome back, everyone, to Answers for Elders Radio Network. And I am here with Ellie Brown, Vice President of Marketing and Sales for Chateau Retirement and in the greater Puget Sound region. And Chateau, I have to say, I'm very excited about working with them because my mom used to live in one of their communities. And so I have so many fond relationships, and including really the foundation of how I got educated in this industry. And certainly, I am so grateful for the staff there at Chateau Pacific and Linwood. They will always be carried a special place in my heart. And Ellie, welcome back to the show. Ellie and I are talking about how families can best support their loved ones through this transition. And certainly, we talked a little bit about, the warning signs in the last segment. How do you, what are the top 3 things that you would recommend of how we can, as adult children, best support our loved ones?
Well, doesn't everything come down to communication? So if you have siblings, then the first thing I would do is make sure your siblings and you are on the same page. You're all noticing different things, and some of you are going to be in a different phase of that denial or acceptance, or maybe closer to mom or dad. But I see too many times harm, meaning there's a delay in help for that senior because of the family dynamics, the siblings not being on the same page. So that's the first thing.
Huge.
The second thing would be having that initial discussion with your parents or your mom or your dad, if it's just one of them, or your loved one. Having that soon as possible. What are your wishes? What do you see your long term? And hearing them, doing some discovery on that, hearing from them. Are they adamantly, like my father is saying, I will never move into an assisted living, right? I'm like, I hope not for you, but if you have a stroke or if you have this or that, what does that look like? Hopefully it's early enough in the process that you're having this discussion with them. What do you want? What are your hopes and dreams? What would you like to do? Would you like to go see some places? And then the next is I would recommend the family gets really good at research and finding programs like yours or what's out there, because there's a lot of different senior livings, there's home care. What are the options? Have that discussion with the doctor and also start researching senior living and other types of assisted care.
Yeah. And I think, looking back at it, the first segment, what you talked about is getting everyone on the same page. That's a task in itself because there's a different dynamic from every sibling to maybe that one parent. Like we talk about a father. Okay. Men typically, I'm being very generic here, talking about an archetype. Typical male is you're going to have to roll me out feet first. I'm not leaving my house, right? So there's this feeling of, this strength of I am not going to accept care, right? On the other hand, there's usually this one sibling that is the primary caregiver that knows the real truth, that knows dad needs help. And those are the things. So I would say in this initial conversation is listen to each other with an open heart, and understand that there's a different dynamic that every single sibling in a family has with that parent. And to me, I always tell families, if you're not the frontline person that is taking care of a parent, your primary role is to support that person, that sibling, because they're the ones that know what's happening. The last thing in the world they want to do is institutionalize someone, a parent that doesn't want to be, or that they feel that doesn't need to. But if there's a concern, listen to that individual with an open heart. And I think that's one of the key things that we should talk about. And then the other thing I am very interested in, that you said that was really important, was the whole dynamic of allowing your loved one their dignity, their input, their wishes, their
It's their life.
values,
It's their
all
life.
of those things, because certainly we may think we know what is best for our loved one, but we may not. And therein lies the difference. So anyway, Ellie, you and I are going to be right back, and we're going to talk about how do you find those resources in your third tip, and we'll be right back right after this. Did you know that you can discover hundreds of podcasts in our library on senior care? So visit our website and discover our decision guides that will help you also navigate decision making. Find us at answersforelders.com.